Last video I spoke about the betrayal of good intentions in the context of political correctness. When diagnosing a problem, we often seek to avoid implicating an overly broad group of people motivated by respect, compassion, or courtesy. The problem arises when that motivation leads us to avoid being direct with the problem, when that motivation obstructs our discovery and analysis of the truth. The betrayal of good intentions also applies to the context of grief. When people suffer a loss, a good person often tries to give as much deference as possible in response. Let the suffering heal in any way they see fit. The loss is theirs. Let the recovery be theirs too. And that sounds great, and most of the time, it is. But what happens when recovery for the grieving comes at the expense of others? What happens when recovery for the grieving inflicts additional grief? Does a good person stand by and enable that problem? Or does a good person intervene to stop the bleeding? Present events in Charlotte provide an interesting case study. In Charlotte, on Tuesday afternoon, police were searching for a suspect with outstanding warrants for arrest. And in that search, they encountered Mr. Keith Lamont Scott, at the time sitting in his vehicle. Mr. Scott exited the vehicle, according to police and eyewitnesses, armed with a handgun. Officers approached Mr. Scott, giving him several verbal commands to drop his firearm. After several ignored commands to disarm, Mr. Scott approached the officers, one of whom shot him. A black officer shot a black man who would not disarm. This according to the black police chief in Charlotte. The problem is very clear.
Guys, is there anything we should know?
No.
You just know that all white people are fucking devils.
And make sure you air that one.
Air that shit.
Now. Don't take that
all
one
white cops are fucking devils and white people. Y'all are fucking devils.
That was the brother of Keith Scott, the man shot, and this is part of the deference I was discussing earlier. He just lost his brother. A heated or emotional reaction is certainly understandable. But overtly racist sentiment and blame? I thought that was the problem, not an understandable reaction to the problem. And the grief went much further. Prior to that clip, Scott's brother and Scott's daughter spent over an hour harassing police at the scene of the incident with racist remarks and taunts.
Look at these bitches. Look at these coons. You a white bitch. Fuck 12. Fuck your daughters. Fuck your damn wives. Fuck your mama. Fuck y'all dogs. Y'all know y'all white crackers fuck dogs.
No, they fuck horses. They
and
fuck horses.
motherfucking horses. No, the
fuck
women
horses.
fuck horses. The niggas be fucking the dogs. You fucking ratatouille. Look at this ratatouille cop. Your ugly ass. Y'all fucking white bitches. What the fuck is your ugly ass looking at, you fucking coon? You dirty ass motherfucking coon. You fucking white ass. And this big black bitch, she ugly too. You know white people fuck fucking animals. Fuck the police.
And threats of retaliation.
They protecting the cracker, man.
Yeah,
because
we gon'
hey,
fuck him up.
Don't worry about it.
Fuck him up.
Listen, I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. We gonna handle that. I just said the shit gonna stop once these motherfuckers start dying. Is that a threat?
Yes.
Is that a threat? That's an educated guess. That's a statement and a hypothesis.
It's war, motherfucker. It's war, motherfucker. I'm about to spit on y'all bitches.
Now, of course, a family, in the shock and the grief of the immediate aftermath of losing a loved one, gets deference. They get deference to be quiet or to scream. They get deference to be public or private. They get deference to react and to heal, mostly in any way they see fit. But do they get deference for racism, for insulting the innocent, for threatening the innocent? I leave it up to you to decide if it's justified, but I contend that this reaction is not born in the moment. I contend that this reaction is not born in the loss of life at all. This reaction is born in ideology, brewing, simmering, fermenting for a long time, and looking for any excuse for release. And the truth is, the family's reaction in Charlotte is actually the tame part. The protest at the on-scene investigation led to riots that shut down interstate traffic in both directions. 16 officers were injured by rioters who made their intentions clear that officers will be targeted for violence.
Ain't gonna be no peace. Y'all ain't gonna take that. That motherfucker ain't going to jail. Y'all don't want him back there with the niggas who he been killing. So when we start firing first, don't be mad. Don't ask why he killed your partner.
They destroyed a police car. They destroyed a news van. They threw rocks and other objects from an overpass onto random passing cars. They blocked traffic and looted and burned truck cargo on the interstate. They broke into and looted a Walmart. The one thing they did not do is honor or recognize or even care about Keith Lamont Scott. None of this display is motivated by what happened to Keith Scott earlier that day. None of it. The facts don't support it, and many of the facts aren't even available yet. All of this action is motivated by indoctrination, by a pernicious ideology. An ideology that labels people as good or evil, as oppressor or oppressed, as black or white, based on whether your skin is black or white. An ideology that increasingly and repeatedly preaches the nightmare of judging people not on the content of their character, but on the color of their skin. An ideology of victimization rather than an ideology of unity. An ideology that insists everyone around you hates you for the color of your skin, and if you believe that to be true and you treat people terribly accordingly. An ideology that self-perpetuates and worsens the problem it seeks to solve. It wasn't the facts of what happened in Charlotte that motivated the racist insults, the police taunting, the vandalism, the violence, the looting, the threats. These acts were motivated by an ideology brewing for months, if not years prior, looking not for facts, not for truth, but for excuses. And the only way that ideology develops and persists is if we coddle it and don't challenge it. When we say, oh, let them grieve in any way they see fit, or we say, oh, those poor guys, they have it so tough, I can understand why they would do and say such terrible things. Or when we say white people need to shut up and listen, to be grossly generalistic. No, that is the soft bigotry of low expectations. That is an excuse you make for someone you think is dumb or weak or cowardly. It's the challenge for evidence, for reason, for logical consistency, and for honesty that shows respect. It's the challenge that says, I believe you can do better because I believe that you are better. Now, of course, that challenge should be coupled with assistance, with fairness, with good faith. Throughout this movement's development, those in power have shown more than fair willingness to work together to address grievances. The cops on the ground in Charlotte on Tuesday were civil and respectful, despite the fact that activists were anything but.
I hear the words you're saying. I may not hear what's going on inside, okay? But I respect your position and how you feel. I respect it. Okay?
Charlotte's Democratic mayor expressed grief and emphasized eagerness to work together.
In Charlotte, we have a long history of working together to solve problems. And you have the commitment of your elected officials. You have the commitment of Charlotte Mecklenburg, our police, our neighborhood and business leaders, and our faith communities, that this tradition will continue. We are a collaborative community. We are a community that knows that we rise or fall together. I've spoken to the NAACP leadership, and we absolutely want their assistance. We want their help.
Charlotte's black police chief affirmed commitment to protect the rights to protest and advocate.
As always, our officers try to facilitate demonstrations and protests.
On a national scale, the Black president of the United States has employed his Justice Department to investigate possible civil rights violations and organized a task force of activists and community leaders to establish best practices for policing. Best practices the Dallas Police Department adopted, the department whose officers were shot dead while protecting Black Lives Matter's rights. You get a seat at the table, and effectively everyone has pulled the chair out for you. but you don't get an iron fist. It takes a child to say there's a problem and you need to fix it. It takes an adult of integrity to say there's a problem and I will do everything I can do to fix it. And so Black Lives Matter, when I and many others ask you to be introspective and be honest about what you can do to fix these problems, it's not because we disrespect you or hate you. It's because we believe you are better than this display. It's because we believe you are equal. We believe in equal opportunity. We also believe in equal scrutiny. Because of those values, we consistently offer you a seat at the table, but reserve the right to be critical if you take that seat and then flip the table. That is not grief. That is a tantrum, and it's time the well-intentioned among us admit. Deference to tantrums helps nobody. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on Twitter. That is at MattC on YT. You're always welcome to come hang out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Okay, bye.